So we're going to start with Stalin, and so first we're going to talk about the new economic policy, which is called the NEP. So I hope you're taking notes somewhere. So if you could write that down, that would be great. Um, the NEP is the plan that replaced communism. War communism had led to economic collapse, mass starvation, and open rebellion. It reestablished limited economic freedom to sell farm surpluses and handcrafts in markets in order to rebuild agriculture and industry. And it proved to be enormously successful. And as I said before, you had this. You had when Lenin died, you had this power struggle, and Stalin triumphed, and Trotsky ended up getting crushed. So there were a few 5-year plans. One was total industrial output was slated to increase by 250%. Agricultural production was to increase 150%, and 1/5 of the peasants were to join collective farms. Collective farms are farms where people farm together, obviously. The reason was Stalin feared a restoration of capitalism and wanted to abolish the NEP private traders. The NEP was established by Lenin, in case that's not clear, and private owning peasants. And he wanted to speed up the process of um, catching up with the West. Also, he feared that the peasants who Stalin allowed to own land would embrace capitalism. So he ordered that the peasants consolidate their land into state-owned enterprises. And so he confiscated their tools, their livestock, everything would be liquidated and part of the state. So obviously, you take people's stuff, they're not going to be super excited about like working. So so there was resistance, there was a decline in output, there was a forced famine in the Ukraine, which cost 6 million lives. And basically the concession was that people could cultivate tiny family plots. Like this sounds like, this sounds like almost like the Middle Ages, right? And however, while agriculture was problematic, industrialization, the Russians, Soviets, they rocked industrialization, and also part of rocking industrialization was employing women, and there was also upward mobility for workers. So what was daily life? So there was, for the peasantry, there was a lot, it was very difficult. There were housing shortages in the city, and however, there was an optimistic belief in the future. Workers received pension, free medical services, free education, and daycare. There was personal advances, but women had roles in the workplace, but in terms of their personal rights, they had a lot of their personal rights were revoked, and in terms of culture, You had to write culture that agreed with the regime, and there wasn't culture that was non-politicized. All the culture was basically about the beauty of Stalin and the Soviet Union, and there wasn't a lot of other cultural opportunities. Um, so there was Stalin was ruled based on terror and purges. Um, Stalin's number two man in 1934 was murdered, and he used this as an excuse to unleash a reign of terror. Um, and this terror included the Great Purges. More than 8 million people were arrested, including people who had like originated the revolution, and the Bolshevik side of the revolution. And I don't know if you've read Animal Farm, but this is kind of a big part of Animal Farm, and so there's a lot of controversy about this, like why did this happen? If you ever want to learn more about it.